Oh, hi everyone, it's Crypto Granny Susie here. The date is the 4th of June 2024 and the time in Europe is 21:02 p.m. And it's still light out there in Amsterdam, so I'm really confused by the time. I keep thinking it's much earlier than what it is. So let's just go through some of the economic information first, and then I want to talk about the lack of liquidity in markets, which for me is a real concern. And then I'll talk about the crypto markets as well and look at the price action. I'm very, very bullish cryptocurrency. I think it goes much higher. And we'll also talk about some of my clients last night bought some Trump token called Tramp, and we'll go through that as well very quickly. And some other really good stories out there at the moment, which affect our investment portfolios. So today, the market was looking at US jobs opening. There are 8 million, slightly lower than expected. US factory orders were higher at 0.7. They're expecting 0.6. US core durable goods was 0.4, and US durable goods were slightly down at 0.6. Now, this week, the big things that are coming out is the Bank of Canada is potentially going to rate raise or rate cut. The European Central Bank, they're expecting a rate cut, and the non-farm payroll figures are out this Friday, which are always huge, okay? The employment numbers and the wage numbers. Now, also manufacturing indices have been down in the US recently. They've been under 50, which is always that index. If it's under 50, shows you it's not recovering and it's more depressed. But the US S&P manufacturing PMI final was 51.3. So just over that 50. But then if you looked into the numbers, the manufacturing purchasing indices and the prices paid, as well as construction spending, they're all quite weak. So construction spending was quite weak at -0.1 from 0.2. Manufacturing prices paid were down from 59.5 to 57, which is bullish. And also PMI was slightly down, which is not that great. Now, if you look on the app, let's go to the app. Today I sent out a video on XRP Ledger, can it be hacked? And that's in the app. So just go to the app and you can see it from there. It makes it a lot easier when you can actually see the app. So let me just make sure you can see that share. Bear with me for a minute. So let's go to the app. So we're actually got the app here. This is what was released today. And this one will go into analysis. So if you look under analysis, you'll see that one today, okay? That one there. So if we go back to the app and we go to members area, we can also see what was posted the last couple of days, OKEx in the Netherlands. I sent out an explainer. If you look at explainers with beta and alpha, which tells you the difference between different risk metrics and returns, okay? So that goes an explainer there, just so you know how to use the app. And I want everyone to use the app because I do send it out on WhatsApp, and I really prefer just to use the app, okay? And then I did also on the first, global crypto ownership reaches 6.8% of the population, okay? So let's go back to our notes and let's get on with this. There's quite a bit to talk about today. And we'll take it from there. So bear with me for a minute. Just make sure I've got the right share here. I know it's annoying, but I just have to make sure we've got the right share, otherwise you won't see it. So let's go back up again. So we've got those important figures that have come out. Just going over this. Now, I will be talking about something that's really important. It's the SOFR rates, and it's about repos, okay? Now, if you look under the explainers on our app, you'll find that we talk about repos. We talk about funding rates, we talk about reverse repo and repos. You can see that. So please go back to those quick videos and what that means, because we will be talking about right at the moment, and I'll do a video on this, secured overnight financing rates, SOFR, and it's really important. The reason why it's important is these rates are showing me there is a massive lack of liquidity in markets, okay? All markets, particularly the equity market, and that is a real worry, and the bond market. Now, the SOFR rate, very quickly, we used to use a thing called LIBOR, London Interbank Offered Rate. that was set down by London at a certain time of the day, and every dealer in the world used to price all their swaps, all their, bills, all their, interest rate setting products and consumer loans against LIBOR. Now, because of the financial crisis in 2008, there was a lot of manipulation of LIBOR by traders, and therefore, the regulatory bodies, really came down on people using LIBOR. And this new rate was called Secured Overnight Financing Rate, SOFR, and it's a benchmark rate that financial institutions use to price loans to businesses and consumers and other banks, okay? And this SOFR rate is done on actual deals. So, for example, if I do a repo, I'm bank A, and I do a repo, I need cash. I have bonds, or I have equity, or I have physical assets, but I don't have liquidity or cash. So what will happen is I'll do a repo with bank B. I will send them over my bond, whatever that bond is, and I will borrow a certain amount of cash against that bond. So if the bond's $5 million, I might get $5 million in borrowing at a cheap borrowing rate below the market, hopefully, or below the borrowing rate that the central bank will put out. And the borrowing rate of the central bank is always 25 basis points worse. So, for example, if I can borrow a repo in the market and I can borrow 4%, but if I need to go to the central bank of the US, they're going to charge me 4.25. For example, if I do a reverse repo where I can give someone cash and take back the stock, I want to get a high rate of my cash. But if I go to the central bank, I can only lend it to them and get a rate of 4%. But if I go to the market, the financial markets, I can get 4.5%, depending on how much another bank needs the cash. But the point is, the SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate, can be done between me and another bank, or me and a central bank. But I don't want to do it with the central bank because I'm paying 25 basis points more, whether I'm on the lending side or the borrowing side. So I will go to another bank, and those SOFR rates are the actual rates that we transact between different banks, okay? They're not a reval rate, just on a quote type system, okay? And the London interbank offered rate was done on a quote system and mid-market, where traders could reval higher with the London interbank rate and push it up because they control it. And now, the system changed after 2008 with the financial crisis. And now we use this thing called SOFR, the Secured Overnight Financing Rate. Now, what's important about this rate is very short term. It's an overnight rate, but it does show you that interest rates are rising quite quickly. And what we're finding is that people that need to borrow money through repos, through the financial markets, are buying puts on those cash rates. Now, I've never seen that before, and that is scary. It tells me there's a liquidity crunch coming, okay? Now, basically, what's being said about this SOFR rate is it's likely to less be manipulated than the Treasury repo rate in the past, but it's real transaction data, okay? Not hypothetical rates that LIBOR could have been, okay? The London Interbank offered rate, which they've got rid of now, and they now use SOFR. This money in this repo market within a day, a 24-hour period, will do 1 trillion, okay? And it can affect the money supply short term in all markets, whether it's foreign exchange, whether it's bond markets, whether it's equity markets, whether it's even crypto markets. So what we're seeing now is these rates rising quite quickly. And, I'll take you through that. If you can see this, make this bigger, it's hard to see, right? But, overall, I mean, even from the, base of the 10th of May, to the 3rd of the 6th, the short-term rate's gone from 5.31 to 5.35. And if we go further out, the rates are getting higher and higher. Now, you might say, hey, Susie, it's only 6 basis points. But you got to remember something. This is a big move with this sort of lending, okay? Because it's with collateral and there's barely any risk. and, almost like a riskless rate. But the question is, why is the riskless rate going up? And the riskless rate is going up and the volume's going up, right? And what that tells me is, yes, I'm a bond portfolio manager or I'm a bank. I have a lot of assets, but I have no liquid cash. And don't forget, it's a bank. I can get term deposits in from all sorts of people, but those term deposits are not sticky. They're hot money, we used to call it in the business. It'll come in one day with a high rate, and then we'll go out and eliminate, with a low rate, right? And we lose that money. But the point of this is people are borrowing through this repo market liquidity. They're paying higher rates, which are moving quite quickly. And now what they're doing is they're buying puts, options on the SOFR rate, bearish stance on interest rates going higher. In other words, I'm buying a put on the SOFR rate of 5.35% in time, in the money, so with a time period of 6 months, that the rate is going to be higher than 5.35% today. Okay, forget about the 10-year bond rate. This is short-term liquidity. The 10-year bond rate's at 4.5%, but the 24-hour rate is at 5.35%, nearly 100 basis points higher, right? And this suggests to me that a liquidity crisis is coming in markets, because I've never seen this before, for a 24-hour rate, okay, which is going up quite a lot, and probably going up even more than a 10-year bond rate at the moment. So, and we see this in the equity markets at the moment. The US equity market looks very bad to me. Very, very bad. Also, another big issue you need to be aware of is T+1. The fiat markets for equities and foreign exchange just recently, at the end of the month of May, have gone to settlement, cash settlement, trade today, cash settlement tomorrow. Whereas before, it was cash, trade today and cash within 3 days. What that means is traders and portfolio managers and investors don't have much time to marry their book with buying and to come up with the cash. And think about it. You put a trade into the system, you've got to come up with cash tomorrow. And if there's something wrong with that trade, you don't have time to fix it. It can affect the technicals, it can affect resistance levels, support levels, it can affect volume, margin, everything. We're starting to see margin is going up everywhere as well, and the cost of funding and finance. Now, with this T+1, traders, I'll give you an example of that. When I was a trader and my client would say to me, Susie, I want you to buy US equity, and I'm sitting in Australia, I'd buy the US equity, but I'd be using Aussie dollars. So I'd have to go to the US equity exchange and buy US dollars and sell Aussie. So not before I could even buy the equity, the US equity, I would have to buy US dollars to buy the US equity and sell Aussie dollars. Now, technically, those trades should be done together, but you can imagine you're a dealer in a day and you've got 100 of those trades. What we used to do to save time was not do all the buy US dollar and sell Aussie separately in 100 trades. We do one bulk trade, to cover all those small 100 people buying a US share and selling Aussie. And we do one large trade at the end of the day where we're buying US and we're selling Aussie, right? This system now, a T+1, does not allow that. What it's saying to us as traders is we have to do them both together, and we have to hedge them in a day, and we've had this tighter cutoff of the cash. And it's going to be an absolute problem, with regulators, settlement people, compliance people, credit people, everything. Because, we might make a mistake, and that mistake, because of T+1, we don't have time to change it. Unlike T+3, that mistake might still go through the system and through the balance sheet of our bank, which then affects our exchange settlement account with the central bank and the Reserve Bank and the Central Bank of the US, right? It's a big story, people, and this story is going to make markets more and more volatile daily, much more volatile, okay, because the cost of cash is going up, because we never had to buy anything. We didn't have to give you money until 3 days. We got free cash, right? Now we only have 1 day of free cash, and the other 2 days we have to pay, and we get charged for that, you know, in terms of the cost of cash and funding. Okay, so this is a big story, and I hope you can understand that, because it's a really big story. Now, when I looked at Bitcoin today, it was about 68,944. I think it's currently at 71,000 or 70,000. We'll look at that. Binance doing very well. Bitcoin's doing very, very well. Tron's doing reasonably well. BCH, and you know, some are, have been underperforming in the last week or so. But if we look at you know, live crypto watch, we'll cover all that. But just give me a sec. Last night we were looking at buying a meme of Donald Trump, and I mentioned MAGA, which was one of his memes that came out last year, and it came out at 0.0000568. Is currently trading over $15. People that bought Mr. Trump's meme called MAGA, MAGA, have made billions, right? Now, there is a debate coming up between Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden, the president, coming in 2 weeks. It's like one of those presidential debates. And I have a feeling poor Mr. Biden or Mr. Biden is going to do very badly. So, you know, I was hunting around yesterday for some new memes. The original link I sent out just seemed a bit scammy, so we left that. But we did find a meme of Donald Trump's, and I actually bought some of this. Donald Trump. And this is against US dollar, and there's one against Solano. Okay, now the one against US dollar, this one, Donald Trump, you basically got it on these exchanges, which are decentralized exchanges, right? And the supply is 100 million, and this thing's gone up already about, you know, 228%. But I do believe, as we run into the presidency this year in November, Mr. Trump, I do believe will get in. And I think this mini token will do very well. And so we've actually bought a little bit of that. Now, please don't sell it against Solano. There is another mini token on Solano, but you're actually selling it against Solano. And you don't want to do that, because if Solano goes up, it means you're actually selling Solano and buying Trump, right? This pricing is not right. There's an arbitrage here, absolutely, because this is against Solano and the pricing's not right. But either way, the charts look very bullish to me, and ascending wedge, they look like they're going up. So, you know, again, I said there's a mispricing. The Trump Solano is wrong. They've got it at 120, but it's not right. It should be shown Trump against Solano at 0.012, where you can buy 14,145 tokens at 0.012 cents, which equals 1 Solano, right? Or it should be 0.007083 Solano, which is $1.20, right? This one is completely mispriced. We haven't bought this one. This is a sell, but the one we bought on the depths was basically Donald Trump at $1.19 against US Tether, which is really important. Okay, so please get the right one. If you don't understand what I'm saying, send me a WhatsApp. But this is really important. So, you know, I've got a bit of position on this now, and I'm quite happy to have that. Yes, it's a meme token. It's only going up because of Mr. Trump. Now, don't forget, in his last election, he had 77 million people vote number one for him. My understanding is he probably will get the crypto vote. We already know in America there's about 50 million people that own crypto. Many people like Coinbase. There's many important people now that are starting to follow Mr. Trump. Also, XRP CEO Brad Garlinghouse is also supporting Mr. Trump as well. And I think he will get the crypto vote, which is at least 50 million people. In the swing states. Okay, now apparently there's 5 swing states in America, and those swing states are go from Democrat to Republic, depending on individual issues. And, you know, I think that adds up to about 50 million people or 30 million people. Now, those go to Mr. Trump. My understanding is that in America, red stays red, the states, and blue stays blue, the Democrats, but the swing states are the most important. And if Mr. Trump gets the 77 million he got last time and the swing states, he's going to win very easily. And you can see that with Mr. Trump's memes that are going up all the time. And Mr. Bowden's meme is like a 27 cents. People are using these memes as a political indicator for Mr. Trump. Also, there was a survey done today or recently that not many of the voters in America were worried that Mr. Trump was convicted of some sort of fraud. And the fact is he can still run the presidency, which I find very interesting, because it was in Australia, he wouldn't be able to do that, but certainly in America he can, okay? So that's sort of what I wanted to say very quickly. If you don't understand what I'm saying there, please give me a call or send me an email. But also, let's go to live coin watch, but also before that, these are the hot world searches globally. We'll go to live coin watch and let's see where that market is at the moment. And then I'll tell you about the crypto news. So just give me a sec, won't be a minute. Make sure we're on the right channel here. And then we'll talk about crypto news as well. So bear with me for a minute. So this is live coin watch. Go and grab yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of water. I don't know how long this podcast is going to be today. It's always hard to know because there's always so much to talk about. But anyway, grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or a beer. I'm taking a small pause and then I'll be back in a sec. And thank you. It won't be a minute. So now let's look at live coin watch. Bitcoin dominance at the moment is 52.6751. The graph's slightly going up. XRP dominance still going down at 1.1046. Ethereum dominance is just under 17%, just slightly moving down that chart. Tron 0.3827, Link's dominance 0.39, Solana 2.94, and Bitcoin Cash is just static at 0.35. Market cap is 2.643 trillion. Volume is very large at 74 billion, and liquidity is very, very good at 7.101 billion, which is probably around the highest I've seen it. It tells you money is going into the market. People are not taking their cash and running. And if they were, that liquidity would be below 5 billion, okay? Over 7 billion, it's extremely, extremely healthy. What we're finding is the equity market, looks vulnerable. It's coming down generally. And the crypto market is still holding up very nicely, and it will, because it's a completely different market and, is assessed in terms of valuation on different fundamentals, i.e. cryptocurrency technology for one, and limited supply of the physical Bitcoin and other coins, okay? It's not just Bitcoin that has limited supply, but it is also other coins. But clearly Bitcoin we look at, because it only has 21 million coins as at its issue, and 19 million has been mined, and we think maybe the rest are lost or something like that. And we know that we've got the Bitcoin ETFs with BlackRock being the biggest holder, and those ETFs that people have bought on the American stock market, whether it be Grayscale, whether it be BlackRock, which is the biggest ETF that's ever been done now for Bitcoin, or Fidelity or whatever, or Van Eyck or whatever. They've got to buy physical Bitcoin, okay? And we see that Bitcoin is reducing dramatically on the exchanges. And now we're starting to see mispricing of Bitcoin on other exchanges, which means exchanges, when they don't have Bitcoin, will raise their prices to get Bitcoin from either you or me or the clients, us clients, and we'll sell to them because Bitcoin all of a sudden is at 72,000 when every other market's got it at 70. They'll put up their prices to buy Bitcoin from other exchanges as well. So what we see with Bitcoin at the moment at 75.91 looks very good. I'm very bullish. I think it gets to 75,000 very quickly from here. I'm bull. This thing's going to go ballistic very soon. I can tell you right now, because the ETFs for Bitcoin are just crazy. Now, I showed you the other day the ETFs for Ethereum. They're only about 200 mil, right? 200 million in ETFs for Ethereum. Bitcoin, we're talking about 15.6 billion, or is it 16.6 billion? Either way, the difference is huge, right? And that's why Bitcoin will continue to perform against Ethereum. Even over a week, Bitcoin was up 13% against Ethereum that didn't do anything, right? So Ethereum at the moment is 3802, up 0.81%. Binance is doing really well. It's up 7.16%. One of my favorite coins, very, very cheap. It's 667. One of my clients who now wants to be called Crypto Ninja basically holds a lot of Binance. He'll be very happy, Crypto Ninja, that he, is doing very well. Binance being up at 7.16% on the day, when we consider that Bitcoin is generally our benchmark. And if you're holding Binance, you're making at least 5% more than the 2% on Bitcoin, right? And this is our cryptocurrency selection of portfolios, right? And we do it very, very well. We are always trying to get more alpha. Now, please look at our explainers for alpha and beta in terms of investment portfolio. Very important. Beta is generally the market return of 1. Alpha is over and above the market return for specific cryptocurrency investments that outperform the market, which is Bitcoin. Okay, that is alpha. And we do that because we're professionals and we're always looking for alpha. You know, alpha being, for example, if we were in Solana last year and the market only returned, say, Bitcoin returned roughly 100%, but if we're in Solana more than anything else, and Solana returned 733%, and say Bitcoin returned 100, 633% is alpha. And that's what my high net worth clients pay me, the extra 633%. So if you have $1 that you're putting in the market, rather than just getting $100, we're shooting for $1,000, right? With our skill set. And both myself and people who work at Merseckers, including Lizzie, I've had, you know, I've been in the market, as I told you, since I was 20 and I'm now 61. So I've been in the market for a long time, and so is Lizzie. But anyway, continuing, Solano, 169, went up 1.92%. What makes me with Binance, and I've just noticed it's gone up again at 668.26, they could be having a buyback of their coin, or they could be burning some of their coin, because every time they have a burn that happens every day, and the more transactions they do, the more coin on Binance they burn, which is great for us because we're actually in Binance. We like Binance very much. Certainly we had it in our investment portfolio number 5. XRP is not doing much. I'm keeping a very, very close eye on XRP, 0.5268. Problem is it did come with its big issuance every month, you know, $1 billion into the market, you know, from the escrow, which is killing the price. I think they've got to stop issuing, you know, the 1 billion into the market, because it's going to go on for the next couple of years, and it just keeps depressing the price of XRP. And, you know, subsequently last year, we saw XRP only perform annualized for a year 10% compared to a Solano 733%. They've got to stop doing that. But there is an interesting story out today about XRP. Brad Garlinghouse said that they're going to, in June, start pricing oracles, and they're going to be in direct competition with Chainlink. So, you know, again, XRP has been oversold for a long time. It hasn't done much, but I am keeping a very close eye on it, because if it starts to rally, we will buy some, because I like the idea of these guys going to pricing oracles. XRP is so cheap. It's literally instant settlement, instant. And, you know, they could give Chainlink a run for their money, particularly with the big central banks, central bank digital currency, you know, corporations, fund managers and the like. So we will be keeping a very, very close eye on XRP. I gave a sell probably about 3 months ago when it was at 73.5 cents. Hasn't got back past there. And, you know, if I see it break 55 cents, I'll probably be interested maybe to buy some just a little bit, 5,000 or something. Dodge it's 0.16, ADA's doing nothing at 0.46, AVAX 35.74, up 0.3%. What else we got there very quickly? DOT 718. A lot of stories about DOT being very, very cheap. It's up 1.32%. It's probably one of the cheapest coins out there, as well as VeChain. Tron not doing much, can't get past 12.5 cents. It's at 11.5 at the moment. BCH 474, expecting big things of that, up 1.5 at the moment. Matic 1.18, and Pepe's down 3.4%. We did sell Pepe around 0.015 or 0.016. I'm waiting for Pepe. I think it's over with the memes at the moment. Pepe particularly, I'm more interested in Trump's meme coins, but I think if Pepe gets to 0.000012, we look to step back into Pepe again. Now, my high net worth made a lot of money out of Pepe, and we sold with great profits, but we're not entering Pepe yet. There's a lot of whales out there. Another whale just recently, today or yesterday, sold 350 million of Pepe and took profit. And that's understandable, because people have made a lot of money out of Pepe. But we wait with Pepe. We do not buy until it comes down a little bit lower, because I expect that there's more whales in pet. Sorry, there's so much to talk about. It's crazy. Now, I want to go very quickly to another data thing, and I like this one very much. And just make sure I've got it up here. Where is it? Bear with me for a minute. Always losing stuff when I need it. Just bear with me for a minute. Where is it? Okay, I'll have to call it up for a minute. But I just like the way this one looks. It looks really good. And you know, it shows things in a week, like how quickly you know, cryptocurrency's gone up or whatever. Where is that? Bear with me. Sorry, it's annoying when you're trying to find something and you can't see it for looking crazy. Okay, just hang 10. Sorry, here we go. All right, so let's have a look at this. Make sure you can see it. Here we go. Right, so we've got it here. Let's get the weekly on this. So we see here on the weekly, Binance is up 11.31% for the weekly, Uni 4.28, Bitcoin 3.85, Render 3.52. I'd like to have a look at Render, but I haven't had time. Tron 2.84, ADA 1.7, BCH 1.76, and the rest are barely anything, right? If we go to this one and we have a look, I don't know what this knot is, up 171. These are all memes. Monaro's up, surprising, it's a privacy coin. Privacy coins are over because they're being delisted, 11.8%. Phantom, 2.5, and Gala. Let's go to this one. And these are all different small coins, right? So we see a lot of interesting Nexo, 0.82. We own Nexo in our other portfolios, but all these other ones I don't know a lot. Oh, that's Axie, is it? Yeah, okay. And we go up to this one. We've got at 35% up, Rose 28. I have no idea what these are. TWT 16, IOTX, I know 10.75. It's AI. We hold IOTX in our investment portfolio number 5, the old one that we sold back in 3 years ago. Astro is up 2.63% because they burnt some coin. But anyway, let's go back to our news stories again. And yeah, just make sure you can see this. Here we go. Right. Okay, so we've seen recently there's been a lot of outflows in crypto. People are self-custody their own crypto. We also see there's been a lot of losses by regional banks in the US, and it's a bit of a concern. There was a report that came out yesterday that regional banks and small banks in the US have lost $517 billion in unrealized losses due to higher mortgage rates. Now, most banks, you know, should make money when rates are going up, but clearly these 63 banks are on the brink of insolvency. And this is not a great story, right? We need to keep this in mind because we have seen the banks in the US deteriorate, which affects the stock market, and then it affects client sentiment in terms of cryptocurrency assets as well. So we do need to keep an eye on that, plus the liquidity threat that I'm talking about, where I think there's a lack of liquidity, you know, term borrowings and term money for small banks in the US, and we're seeing that all the time. So, you know, we need to be very careful of these lenders or banks that are on the brink of bankruptcy, because that's not going to be great for the stock market, okay? Not at all. And the FDIC came out with this report, and it's a very interesting report. Also, we find Deutsche Bank have come out and said they want to use Ethereum for cryptocurrency technology, but they've also partnered with Bitpanda, who are a small exchange that's very undercapitalized. So I'm quite surprised about that. Deutsche Bank used to have a great reputation years ago. They used to be AAA. They're not anymore. They've got a lot of problems. And I'll tell you, I don't really like the fact, you know, I don't like who they've chosen. They've chosen Ethereum. Crikey, why didn't they choose XRP or Solana or Polygon or something? And they've chosen Bitpanda, one of the small exchanges in the world. Just incredible. As I said, Pepe, the big whale dumping 366 billion of Pepe, which forced that price down. Pepe could come down a bit more. There was also another newsletter out about token unlocks. Quite a lot of token unlocks this month, and I've explained that to you as well. There's heaps of memes being produced by Solano. In the month of May, Solano, and I was gobsmacked by these numbers, produced 455,000 meme tokens in May. And someone said to me, Susie, why didn't you see the MAGA thing, you know, which is a Trump, you know, meme that went up from 0.004058 was the RCO and went up to $15. I said to my client, oh, maybe I was away. But then I go, hey, man, there's 38,000 cryptocurrencies and tokens. And, you know, I've just seen some figures here that Solana issued where you can very easily go onto the Solana platform and their technology. And as a user of Solana, I can create my own token, my own meme. I can even, it's very easy apparently, according to Lizzie, I can create a crypto granny token on Solana. And according to the stats that came out, Solana had users create 455,000 meme tokens, which is just incredible. Now, if you look at this chart here, over the last year, according to this, crypto absorbs over 47.5 billion of fresh supply. And we see, you know, some of the biggest coins that we hold, like Solana and DOT, you know, there's more and more, you know, people buying new memes. So if we go to XRP, even XRP is the green a lot more this year or this month than there was last month. If we go to the purple here, that's others. But if we go to, say, this orange one, that's Sue. If we go to the next one, it's Solana. I mean, just incredible, right? I've got to say, sorry, that's not XRP, that green one. Sorry, that's the darker one is XRP. This one here is Solana. And that's not surprising because, as I said, Solana did 455,000 many tokens in May, and their fees are astronomical. They're making a fortune, okay? An absolute fortune. Now, on the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, apparently there was a glitch in some price Oracle data, and apparently it was with Berkshire Hathaway shares. And at one stage on the New York Stock Exchange, the pricing feed for the buy-sell showed that Berkshire shares had dropped 99.97% of their value, which is incredible. And, you know, many people now starting to say, why are they not using Chainlink as a pricing oracle? I don't know what pricing oracle the New York Stock Exchange uses, but the fact that Berkshire Hathaway shares showed a drop, an unrealistic drop of 99.97% because the share feed was erroneous. I mean, really, this is, you know, Chainlink's, you know, meat, you know, it's their breakfast, if you know what I'm saying. It's their, you know, their bread and butter business, so to speak, particularly when the DTC is using Chainlink as well, right? So it shows you in the real world of fiat markets, they're not using cryptocurrency technology. And, you know, imagine what would happen on the exchange when Berkshire Hathaway shares went down to 99.97%. The whole market would have been buying them, right? But it was all wrong. And then the exchange would have to unwind of those trades and recompensate, you know, trades. It'd be an absolute nightmare. But the reality is they should be using Chainlink's pricing oracle. Okay, it's an absolute given. Even Chainlink's founder came out and said, Chainlink is the global financial system with blockchain integration. And every company in the world, like I said, needs to use Chainlink, whether it's for tokenization of assets, whether it's for security, whether it's for great smart contracts, you know, whether it's for pricing oracles. Everyone needs to use a reval system that is real time, okay? It's simple as that. And you wouldn't have those situations like the New York Stock Exchange. Now, also Australia issued an ETF, and that was done on Tuesday by an asset company called Monochrome Asset Management, the first Bitcoin ETF in Australia, which I thought was interesting. As I mentioned, Coinbase and a lot of other people that are against Mr. Bowden are putting money in to get the crypto vote into politics and into the presidency, which makes sense. Apparently, US state invested in Bitcoin ETFs, and that was the state Wisconsin Investment Board invested 160 million in Bitcoin, and they actually said that they believe other states that have positive flows for investment will start buying Bitcoin as well, which just tells you there's a lack of supply of Bitcoin, as simple as that. Brad Garlinghouse came into the market and said they will possibly do an IPO out of the US. They were talking about doing it in the US, but because of all the SEC trouble, they're thinking about doing it outside of the US. And clearly that, the SEC and Ripple are still going on, and the SEC currently still expects Ripple to pay $2 billion, which Ripple don't want to pay. This is the story I mentioned before. Ripple announced plans to launch oracles by Q2 2024, which is quite big. Against this, they're talking mainly pricing oracles, and that essentially means they're going to be competing exactly with Chainlink. Now, if they do this, I'm going to be very interested in picking up some XRP, more so because I think Ripple will have a real, how can I say, captive market and a great competitive advantage against Chainlink. It'll be much cheaper, much faster. The question is whether people will accept Ripple, being a company and not a foundation like Chainlink, whether they'll accept Ripple, that's a company, to run their pricing oracles. Would it be insider, behavior? I don't know, because Ripple's going to be listed, don't forget, and they're going to have their own bonds out there. Will people use their pricing oracle over and above Chainlink's? Chainlink have been doing it for a long time. They've got a great head start, that they're incredible, and they've got some of the biggest contracts in the world, including Swift. I'll have to see how this goes, but the jury's still out about this. I think it's a great idea, but I think they're really going to hit up hard against Chainlink. And the question is whether people would prefer to use Chainlink, which is almost like an objective, if you want to call it that, foundation. Doesn't take on trading positions as such, apart from its treasury, or Ripple, the company, that's in the business of making money. It's sort of, I have to think about that. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't, because Chainlink really was there at the first, and they've got such a head start. It's quite amazing. I have to say that. Ripples were also talking about, they were doing this issue of $1 billion, which also affects the market with their escrow. It's not great. We see whale transactions, which are Ripples. And again, this stuff comes to the market, 200 million of XRP or 300 million, and it actually, causes the price of XRP to go down. Also, the quarter central bank are looking to develop and test settlement payouts, large payments, but within microseconds. And they're going to use digital ledger technology like XRP Ripple. And the question is whether they're going to use Ripple, which if they do, I think would be a very good story. Also, Galaxy came out with a story about Ethereum, who governs Ethereum. I thought this was quite an interesting article. And what it did say is they actually have groups, and they delegate and they govern and they make decisions on off-chain process rather than on-chain process. And I thought that was rather strange, just like Galaxy report revealed, because they thought too, why aren't they doing on-chain, voting and governing of the proof of stake network? And I found this strange that they don't do that, really. And so did this report, actually. It sort of said that, yes, you need the connections, you need the validators, you need the nodes, but why are they making decisions off-chain? And the report actually said they're making those decisions, from what I gather, because it actually, they have a preference for off-chain, Ethereum does, because, what do they say there? Just bear with me. They had a preference for off-chain governance over on-chain voting due to the risk of large Ethereum holders, which have heavy influence. That's very interesting. The report emphasized, let me read that again, because I think that's really important. The report also emphasized the reason behind Ethereum's preference for off-chain governance over on-chain voting due to the risk of large holders exerting heavier influence. Now, this is what I mentioned the other day with the risk of Ethereum, right? What this basically means, if they have a voting governing system that's not on-chain, or like on cryptocurrency technology that you can see and you can look up, then, the voting decision and the decision-making process is going to be more obscure, not transparent. And I don't like that. For transparency and objectivity, you need to see it on chain to be able to see what's going on, right? And having it off chain, what does that mean? Does it mean it's sitting on a spreadsheet somewhere or something else? Or do we have access to the off chain to be able to see how governance is done, right? They even say themselves that they've got huge holders that hold, Ethereum on the network as stakers that are centralizing the network of Ethereum. And this is pretty much what this says, this green bit here that I just read out to you. That's a very big worry for me, that Ethereum is so centralized. It is a real problem, okay? And I don't like it at all. It says no decisions are voted on by Ethereum holders through on-chain proposals or decentralized automated organizations. That's not good. But then they go on to say the off-chain approach prevents centralization and maintains nuanced decision-making despite being difficult to audit and objectively evaluate it. I mean, that says it all, right? I mean, that's a joke. That's what I'm saying. You can't audit it. You can't objectively look at the decision-making process of the governing because it's off-chain, which then makes it more centralized. But they're saying if they use on-chain, it's too centralized. I mean, that's the biggest problem with Ethereum. That's why I don't like it. Then there was another story about Ethereum liquidity drain. And again, this is the same thing I was talking about the other day. If they lose one of their stakers, it's going to be an absolute magnificent liquidity drain on Ethereum and its network, and it'll be terribly bad. As I mentioned, Astra, some people are holding this in trading portfolio number 5, and that was years ago. We're not in our current portfolios because it's now number 7. But if you are, Astra did a token burn, which did, give a bit of a bounce onto Astra. They did 31 million, which is quite large for a token burn, okay? It was about 10% of the supply, okay, which is interesting. Now, as I said, Solana, according to a new report, issued 455,000 tokens in May. It's massive. And apparently it's very easy as a subscriber to Solana's network to actually create these meme coins, okay? And it's no wonder Solana is killing it. They're very cheap, very quick transactions, and they're just absolutely killing it. Plus, they secured PayPal and Visa for payment markets, as well as Stripe and ShopperPay, but also with a stable coin, which is very interesting. And it makes it very easy, apparently, to use that stable coin for PayPal on Solana. I haven't tried it yet, but I will do a video on that later, okay? Great story of VeChain, that they're in incredible different growth areas and massive community support. But, they're in, clean the environment, the air, all sorts of things. VeChain really, I believe, is one of the cheapest blue chip cryptos in the market and will eventually fly, just like Tron, which is very cheap. Now, Tron celebrated 7.7 billion of total transactions. It's massive. Tron's doing millions and millions and millions of transactions a month, and Ethereum's luckily to do 500,000, right? Why is Ethereum the price it is when it's so expensive and you do anything with Tron and it costs you maximum $1, right? Great stories for Polkadot as well. They've launched a 5th cohort in Singapore to nurture developer talent. They're looking for many more people to join the network and to make it bigger and bigger. Very, very underpriced at the moment. Polygons came out, they've acquired Topos, pushing their investment in Ziki investment to 1 billion. It's got to do with their blockchain research and their zero knowledge startups they've been working on to make the system a lot faster and foolproof. So that's a great story for them as well. What else we got here? And anything else that's important? Sorry, these things always go too long. I'm really sorry. Very, very sorry. Also, a story about VeChain. I've got that. Told you about that. Bear with me. Anything else there? Polkadot, very, very cheap. And that's pretty much it, people. So that's it. But anyway, look, have a great night. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry, it's a bit over the place, but there's so much to look at. I just don't know where to start half the time, and I'm quite tired tonight because I'm trying to change my sleeping. I'm trying to go to bed earlier rather than 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to go to bed like at 11 o'clock. And get up at a reasonable time because we've got this large CBOE contract, and it's one of the biggest exchanges from America in the world. We're actually consulting to them. So yeah, I'm trying to be good. Anyway, that's enough for me, guys and girls. Enjoy yourself, and I'll talk to you very soon. Please look after yourself, your wives, your beautiful babies, husbands, whatever, beautiful dogs, animals, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. And thank you very much for listening.